The realization part is the process of considering how best to apply this digitized information, right? And the transformation part of it is the process of devising new business applications to house these two. So it's almost like 1, 2, 3. They actually live within each other. And so I'm just trying to break down the complexity of data. And data and digital, same thing. In my world, today it at least has become the same thing. Now let's talk about bytes. I was saying to you that when I say the unit size of what you do when you touch a phone, is that we currently live here. You know, we talk kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, maybe even terabytes now, but here's something interesting. In 4 months' time, so you know, you've got kind of 2020. 2020 is hitting us now, right? We're already in 2020. The entire digital universe in the world is operating at 44 zettabytes. Now, I don't even know how to read this number, right? In mathematical terms, it's just lots of zeros. Lots and lots and lots of zeros. That's how much the world of data, that's how much data you give on a daily basis. And that's why some of the most wealthiest companies, the tech giants, the research giants, are wealthier than many small countries today. Okay, so because this is the sort of stuff that they're actually generating. So you better know your yottabytes from your zettabytes, because data literacy is the one thing that's actually going to fuel and help you become better at what it is that you do. So why does it hold importance? And so this whole data conversation. Because this guy thinks it does, right? So he tweeted, I think this was like 2 days ago, he tweeted and he says, oh, for heaven's sake, why can't trees give off something useful like Wi-Fi? Because it's not even about anything else anymore, right? And then clearly there was a clever guy who said, come on, you know, the trees at least give us oxygen to breathe. But that's how important actually it's become. But here's something else, Maslow's hierarchy. This is what we're doing. We've replaced basic needs. You want to ask a question? Oh, okay. We've replaced basic needs of food, of water, of shelter with this thing. When people come to your house or come to your office or whatever, the first thing they ask for is the Wi-Fi code. They don't ask for water, they don't ask for a chair, they don't ask for anything, they ask for the Wi-Fi code. The first thing we do when we get anywhere is the Wi-Fi code. So it's a real thing. So, and replace this with internet, replace this with data as in data must fall, not the data as in research that I'm talking about. Replace it with all of that stuff. It starts to show you the actual importance of this world. I wish I had a clicker. Now this here, when I was talking about the stuff that we do, if you look at here, music, mail, retail, the things that we like, the things that we're hashtagging, our SMSing, the tweets, where we are going, so directions. Today, every single one of these, so receipts. When you go buy at a store, receipts, or even that stuff's actually now become electronic. That industries have been shaped and have been made so different by virtue of digitalization and actually in data that retail stores will cease to exist in the near future because online shopping is increasing and increasing. And the reality is, in South Africa, it's not as prevalent, but it's there. You know, it's not as prevalent, but it's there. Travel, right? Nobody goes to a travel agency anymore. In fact, I don't remember seeing one anymore. I don't even think they exist, right? Because travel actually exists in a digital format now. So it's completely changed how it is that we interact with the world. So you, like I've said, and I'm going to keep on saying it, generate massive amounts of personal data across all aspects of your life. And then it's captured by, right now, the big guys, Facebook, Google, Axiom, Axio. Here's what an interminute looks like. I find this completely crazy, right? 60 seconds, and those on Tinder, 1.4 million swipes on Tinder in 60 seconds. This is a minute, guys. This is not 60 hours. This is a minute, 60 seconds, and this is the amount of engagement on the internet that happens, right? Look at you guys who are on Instagram in 60 seconds. It's completely unprecedented. Here, WhatsApps. I mean, I do think that about 1 million of these are made up by my street WhatsApp group. They're very busy. Cats get lost, dogs get lost, electricity goes off. You know, it's always a mission. But this is, look at what's spent online. 60 seconds. I find this completely baffling. Completely baffling. And it's about to get worse. Because remember, right now we're operating at sort of terabyte speed. We're going on to zettabytes. It's going to get worse. So moms and dads, all your little kids that want to engage in this world, let them. Just make sure that there's security around how it is that they engage with it, but let them, because the world they're going to be living in is completely different to the world that we actually face today. I love this. I love this. This is what it is, right? We need it every day. I wake up every day, and the first thing I do, instead of reading emails, which is what I would have done the past couple of years, is I read my Twitter. All right, I check my social media, you know, what's happened, what's trending. I don't remember the last time I bought a newspaper, and I really shouldn't say that because I come from the industry, but I don't, right? I'll read it online, but I get my news and my feed through Facebook, through Twitter. 500 million tweets that are sent daily. The last week, with what's been happening here with the gender-based violence and the xenophobic attacks, that probably trebled coming out of South Africa. And by the way, South Africa, I should have actually put it in. I didn't, but there was some research that was done with respect to, and this is not about Wi-Fi, the proliferation of Wi-Fi, but the engagement with social media platforms. South Africa, and you can imagine how many countries there are, was number 24. With respect to engagement, how much we engage with the social world, with social media. Number 24, and that's very, very high, given there's however many hundred odds of countries. You know, so we literally sit in the top 30 from a usage perspective. And Twitter, and Black Twitter, drives a lot of that, because that's increased engagement, you know, from that perspective. The sad part of it, guys, you can't run away from it. You can't run away from it. Here, so what you buy, how you browse, what you store with respect to your photos, your music, what you read. But here's the interesting one. Public records. The fact that you have an ID number, the fact that you have an address, the fact that you know, so things that you legally must have also mean you can't run away from me knowing you, right? From me knowing your data and from me capturing your data. And then, check this out. You know, everybody did that quiz on Facebook. How will I look when I'm in 30 years' time? Nice, because then you give me access to your Facebook. Then all of a sudden you've commented on this, or you searched online for that. Data brokers get to know that you're pregnant before you know, because you know why? Because you suspect, right? And then you go symptoms, right, of pregnancy. So you start and you search for it online, right? And then what happens is all the brands, so all the pregnancy tests and the diapers and whatever, they pop up and they go, oh, okay, here's somebody that's starting to search for our thing. And then they start following you around. So web trackers then start to track you. Just based on what it is that you actually typed in there, right? They start to track you. There's something that's called radio frequency identification. And what this does is it tags items in a store. So imagine you're walking into a Pick n Pay, you pick up a carton of milk, and then you decide to put it back, right? What happens in that moment with people literally sitting very far away because you've tagged all the items in the store is you've put it back on there. I can serve you an ad on your phone that says, don't forget the milk for cereal tomorrow, as an example, right? You do that with a Coca-Cola. I can serve you an ad and you put it back and go, ooh, thirsty? It's 32 degrees outside. I can literally help change your mind in store based on what it is that you do. And that's where we're going. That technology already exists in some stores overseas. And that's scary. Because I know that you're walking like this, remember? And you're taking your Coke and you're putting it back. I can talk to you right there and then and make you buy it without you knowing it. Without you knowing that I'm subliminally making you do stuff, right? Wearables. I mean, I love my watch. But these things, they'll be generating 24 petabytes 24 million petabytes of data by 2020. That's 6 times more than Facebook. 6 times more than Facebook today, these things. And remember what these things do, right? They check it's my heart rate, it's all sorts of different things that they can actually also tell when I'm about to die, right? And when I'm about to do this, that, and the other. It's dangerous actually, having these things, but I'm so hooked, I can't. Cookie syncing. Many of you would have seen it when you go into, say, accept cookies. So cookie syncing is how we, the advertisers, literally follow you around the internet, but there's third parties, and then third parties take this information. Third parties like Xio and Axiom take this information and we store it. The people like the NSA, they now currently piggyback off of these third parties for surveillance purposes. The information that comes from there is so much richer than what the NSA knows. And you know the NSA knows everything. Amazon and Google have filed patents for technology that'll allow them to mine for keywords, audio keywords. So we are not safe. That's what I'm saying, you can't run away from it. All you must do is figure out how it is that you want to protect yourself around it, because we're going to find you anyway. The information is there anyway. Here's why it's also important. I spoke about how industries, right now, some of these are actually wealthier than some countries. The stock prices for data firms continues to increase in unprecedented rates, and it's not going to stop. So if any of you and your younger sisters and siblings want to know what careers to go into data science. We're employing data science as advertising people now, right? We're creatives. We make TV ads and radio ads and, CRM and the stuff that the guy spoke about before me, and now we're actually employing data scientists. So you want to know what careers of the future are? It's one of those. I love the slide. Here's what data does, and that's why I'm going careers of the future. Data makes us future fit. If this is the evolution of man, this guy right here, Mr. Ones and Zeros, this is what we are in human form going forward, right? Robotics and AI is going to be a part of what we do, but ourselves, this is what we're evolving to. So now let me talk, bring it back down to marketing and answer the second part of what they asked me to come talk about, right? And this really is a world of collision, of convergence, of everything actually in between. It's a synthesis of technology, of creativity for engagement. Literally, so technology, creativity in order to be able to convert customers or talk to customers or sell more, right? That is the world of it. What it's done is this. Widen reach for pinpoint targeting. Because before, I could serve an ad on SABC, right? And everybody would see it. My grandmother, my child, my husband, so all sorts of different people could see it because it's very much mass reach. And digital does that because all of us are on Twitter, or all of us are on Facebook, or all of us are actually on the internet. But pinpoint targeting is that I can right now, if we went onto the same site, you'll see a different ad to what he sees because your interests are different to yours. And that's why the creative world now is not about just creating that one big ad. It's literally about creating one big ad where that can be turned into different messaging super fast to serve to different people each time they actually engage with the internet. And it really is always a two worlds. It's about marrying the science of storytelling together with the analytics of brand performance. Marketers in the past, we'd make marketing decisions based on intuition and experience, and that's why our industry has suffered a lot because there has been a whole conversation around what's the ROI and what's the ROI, and we've never been able to actually do that. But really it's about storytelling as a science. So I'm not making that Coca-Cola ad and say it's refreshing because, it feels like it's refreshing. There's got to be something behind it that makes that story hookable, that it can then be served in different ways to each of you. And then the analytics of brand performance. It also is about pushing innovation dreams, allowing creative people to be creative, but through a funnel in marketing processes that are repeatable, so that you can actually let the work happen while you then keep on testing and changing and testing and changing. You know, so gone are the days of making 12 million rand television ads with beautiful models and you run it for a year only because you spent 12 million. That doesn't work anymore. So this slide, I'm just going to call it up because I don't have a clicker. So this slide, like I said, it's two things: ad technology and marketing technology. So ad tech and martech. And the ad tech refers to technologies like programmatic buying. So if any of you are in the sort of digital space, and what programmatic buying is what I was talking about now, to go, when you open the internet, you see something different to what you see. That means we've bought programmatically. The pinpoint targeting, we've bought and that's all it is. But you buy vast amounts of ad space on digital for that. Martech, though, is the tools used to manage the entire marketing process. Where it starts to come together is marketing technology targets the customers and those who are almost on the fence. I'm not sure if I want the Coke. And advertising, what I was talking about, then I can serve you an ad, convinces you to take it. And that's how the two worlds start to work. And this is really the most visible part of how ad technology and marketing technology actually come together. They're closely related but different, and the line is blurry. It gets more blurrier and more blurrier. So in the past, ad technology was paid media. I can place an ad on 5FM, Ukhozi, and SABC, and then I can go after PR in order for me to get free media. Today, it's not so simple. It's not so simple because when I've placed that ad, you're talking about it on social media, that's free PR, right? And then I'm having to write a press release that I'm probably paying an editorial for. So the world actually is not as clear as it used to be. Everything is merging actually into one. And then from a target market perspective, advertising, as I said, I would advertise mass. I'll place an ad on SABC and anybody can see it. And marketing technology would have more specific information. So if you're a bank, FNB, you'd have more specific information about the fact that homeowners sit in this range. Whereas today, I have that information as well. Because what happened? You all Googled, and you said, I'm looking for a house that's from this, that's this big, and I'm looking for financing, and then I've got that information. So it's literally just made these worlds very closely related, even though they still perform different functions, but as I say, it's getting all blurry. So this is what we do in my company. We invest, we've just invested over $22 million overseas, going into partnership with Axiom, which is one of the biggest data brokerage companies. And then locally, we've gone into a partnership with Ixio, who does a similar thing. And then we run research across the continent, which is probably the biggest panel. So we invest a lot in data, and then we then put it through in what we do. Our approach is data first. I work with media planners, buyers of the digital and the above the line side, and what we do with them is that we train them to be data literate, because the reality is it's just another screen. There's TV, radio, out of home, all of the stuff that's actually for here, and then there's digital. But because it's so new and it's so different and it's so big, it's being treated differently, and therefore we've got to upskill ourselves to make sure that we're continually there. And then we're very tech agnostic. Gilbert, before me, spoke a lot about technology. So as a company, firstly, we make deals with everybody, right? Because all of them have different technologies. We give ourselves the opportunity to work with them, but we work with all of them, and then we use their technologies in order to make our work. So this is the work of Metamedia. But then we do all of that in order to make data memorable. And what I mean by that is that a statistic is just a statistic. Statistic is just a statistic, right? It means nothing if it doesn't have a story behind it. So when I say we train people, that's what we do. So we train our guys in the office to put statistics into context. So here's an example. So Steve Jobs, the MP3 player, all right? with 5 gigabytes of storage, 5 gigabytes means nothing. I don't even know what it is. I just know that it's smaller than petabytes. Do you know what I'm saying? It actually means nothing. And the minute you say it's 5 gigabytes is enough for 1,000 songs, now you're talking, because I'm going, okay, now I know what it means. And that's what we mean by saying, putting things into context, taking data and making data work in a way that actually makes sense. But then he also went a step further and added 1,000 songs in your pocket, which now means it's not here, and that's how the Walkman went out of business, by the way, because they still were the Walkman. You know, those who are old enough, I see a lot of young people here, so you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. But there was something that was called the Walkman. You put a cassette player, you know, and you put it here on your, look, he's frowning, he's like, what? Yeah, it was. And what he did is that 1,000 songs in your pocket, because all of a sudden, they're no longer on this thing with a cassette player, it's in your phone. And so when we talk about make the number memorable, that's what we mean. And then that's what we then do to create insightful, rich media campaigns. Because we make the data actually work a little bit harder. Why do we do that? Here's our reality. There's more media. In 1975, well, firstly, there was no TV in 1975, so let me use a different example. In 2000, let's go more recent. In 2000, there were 56 individual television stations, okay, 56 in the country. Today, 134, okay? Consumer magazines, from 180 to 655. In fact, walk around this exhibition, right, it'll tell you how much of it there actually are, of just everything. We're just inundated every day, it's a lot. So there's a lot more media to deal with, and therefore an increasing amount of advertising clutter, completely increasing amount of advertising clutter, and then ads are becoming less and less effective. I mean, any of you tell me that you don't fast forward your ads when you're on DSTV or when you're on the internet, you quickly close that, you know, that banner. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you close it. Just make sure you've watched it for six seconds, right? So that I can get paid. Even though it's a 30-seconder, you know, it's unclickable. And apathy is right here. The battle for the consumer is on. Every brand wants that very last cent that you've got, every single brand. And also they're living their lives online. You're living your lives online. So the reality in media is very different to what it was before. And we have consumers, all of you, you're multi-screened. You know, we talk about 5 screens now. Your phone, your computer screen, your television, your iPad, as well as your cinema screen. Like, we are so multi-screen, you see all of those things on a regular basis. You're distracted, so it's harder for us advertisers to find you. It's easy for us to find you. It's hard for me to unless if the work is really good, to hook you. Right, so that's when I say distracted. You're more informed because Google is your friend. And also you're vain and self-centered, so everything's about you. So all of a sudden, in the past we used to talk about the brand, the message was always about the brand. Now we don't talk about the brand, we actually talk about you and insert the brand in there. You know, so very different conversation. And then socially, antisocial, weird. So weird. Social media, the biggest social craze. Everybody is very social. We've got friends we don't know. You know, we like each other on there, which has actually made us antisocial. You go out to dinner and watch people at dinner, at lunch. Everybody's sitting on their phones like this the entire meal through, right? And there's 4 people at dinner. They're having, you know, drinking their drinks and they're sitting like this on their phone. So we're socially antisocial. Bizarre. And then also brand agnostic, right? Different brands are starting to emerge. And therefore brands have got to work harder. You know, the whole craze around more nutritionists, less sugar, and all of that sort of stuff is making other brands actually emerge. Now here's an interesting one. Tech has also changed how we view content. Those of you who've watched Sunday early evening television, so Our Perfect Wedding, Date My Family, if any of you've watched all of that, everybody watches it with Twitter. So how we view things actually has changed as well. You know, you just don't watch television or a program, you're watching it with something. Believe it or not, that the highest generations, after watching it on TV, the most watched version of Generations after that is via YouTube. And people say Generations people are mass and they actually don't understand the world of digital. Generations. After screening on SABC, the most viewed part of Generations after television is on YouTube. Tell me that your mother and your grannies and whatever actually don't understand the internet. And that's how internet users watch television. On a TV set, 91%. Online content streamed to other devices, 8%. And this is for both mass markets as well as the sort of niche market. So it's very, very different. These things here, this is Netflix is going black is the Cell C proposition, which is actually starting to do incredibly well for them. I know that MTN and Vodacom had them as well, but they were too early for the market and they bombed out. But they'll bring them back. So Showmax, so starting to be very, very, very different with respect to how we consume. So, in truth, what does this all mean? It means that the traditional ways of doing things will no longer cut it. So we need to find different ways of engaging with content and then supplementing the new with the old, doing both at the same time. In reality, it's all literally about new thinking, new creative, new technology, as well as new media. So what does it look like? It's simple. So it involves preparing and selecting data, right, that can act as a source of creative inspiration. If there's any creative people in here, you need to use it and make a story out of it in order to be able to understand it, right? Thinking creatively about the opportunities you have for using that data, finding the right balance between using the data as a trigger for thinking and using it as a guide for success. Two very different things. Choose what it is that you actually want to use it for. And then A/B testing, right? Today, that cell phone of yours gives you the opportunity to A/B test as you go. So continuously rigorous testing as you go, and research to determine what the best media and creative application should be. And then isolating data that can influence the entire business. Marketers are notorious for working within the marketing funnel alone. Business, the reason companies like Coca-Cola, I can't remember the exact number, but Coke is worth, and I'll use fictitious numbers. So if Coca-Cola is worth on the stock exchange 5 rands, Coca-Cola, when you start putting what the brand, when you're putting brand metrics into it, is worth 5 times that. And marketers don't know how to pull outside of marketing and actually have a conversation that touches the business throughout. And that for me is probably the most important part of this whole conversation. Metrics that hold little meaning outside of the marketing department do not drive business success. So when asking for data, it's got to be business data. It can't be marketing data, because marketing data is quite fluffy, right? It says, oh, this LSM this, LSM that, SEM this, SEM that. You want the business data, because that's the data that will give you insight into what it is that you're actually trying to do on the marketing side. So data and creative, and I'll skip through a lot of these. I think I've spoken about a lot of them as I've been going. So evidence of the value of data-led creativity is actually all around us. From the way you experience films, from the way you watch TV with Twitter, on Netflix, and how you get to your Spotify list, how you Shazam, and then immediately select it and it goes directly into your Apple Music, right? But also, data should elevate creativity and open up new spaces and opportunities around it. It should trigger creative ideas, and used in the right way, it should actually inspire the creative idea. If any of you are creative here, like a lot of my teams are back at the office, if you want more creative ideas, start with the relevant data. Right, and oftentimes we, creatives, nobody sit there and they go, oh, what idea, I need to go sit there and have a drink and figure out, the idea will come to me. No, go through the data, and the data will inspire what the answer should be. And then analyzing and evaluation. Gone are the days where creativity is about irony. These guys, all of these guys that are here, the type of billboard that is out there, the sort of technology that you're using on clothing, all of that stuff is informed by something that says there's a person that's actually going to buy it. That's why they created it. I mean, today, billboards and I keep on pointing at this because you advertise here, here's a mobile billboard. But billboards, there's an outdoor, very well-known outdoor company that's currently testing. When you stop at a traffic light, and there's a billboard right here, that billboard can serve you information based on your car. How old your car is, when it's going to require service. So a whole host of different things that have got to do with your car. Because remember, our cars are electronic now, right? If my car breaks down and I take it to the dealership, they go into the computer and they reconfigure something, right? So billboards now, the technology where these two things can start to talk to each other, like computers. It's computer to computer, right? Where they're starting to talk to each other, where it can say, firstly, in fact, Waze does it. He spoke about it in the previous session. Waze does it. You're driving and it says, oh, are you hungry? Right? There's a filling station right here. My car does it. As I'm driving, it says, you need to fill up. There's 5 filling stations around you. So that these billboards are going to start talking to your car and they go, ooh, that guy's car is 5 years old. And also he was searching yesterday for, for cars. BMW serve him an ad. As you're in the traffic. As you're standing right there. That's where we're going. I'm not talking about things in Japan and Asia and whatever. I'm talking about things here in South Africa. William Nicol, they're busy testing it right now. The day you're driving and you keep this thing, you're like, oh my hands. Seriously, she said that. Watch the space. So analyze and evaluate, right? Your data in order to be able to get the right information. But also, it helps you make better pricing decisions. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in here and in the room. Use the data to make pricing decisions, because now you don't have to rely on just the 3 metrics that the people who buy this actually earn X amount, but you can start looking at things like exchange rates and interest rates and government spending around certain things in order to price your products. The data is there. It's on the damn internet, right? And you've got the Wi-Fi to actually use it. So use it to actually make better pricing decisions. And also to show appropriate content. I mean, this is more for me and my people to go, we need to be able to use the data so that I'm not serving a child content that I shouldn't be serving, right? Because the truth is, all of these walled gardens don't necessarily give you complete protection, but it's my responsibility to make sure that the ads that I serve are actually correct. And also, I can't then put out an ad from FNB today that says, oh, use your credit card and spend, this weekend, and another one that says it's saving month, right? It's savings month from the same bank. It's madness, and I serve you both ads at the same time. It's just silly. So we've got to use it to be able to then isolate the content that we then put out. And then importantly, it goes beyond advertising. My work, I was in advertising. I'm no longer in advertising. I have no idea what I'm in. Maybe it's data, but it's not advertising anymore. It's bigger than advertising. Facebook has filed patents for a service that will help insurance companies, and I'm sure some of your friends who've gone through this, vet people based on the credit ratings of their social network. Be careful who's your friend online. Imagine that you're applying for insurance and you get denied insurance because of the profile of your Facebook friends or things that have been said on Facebook. I know people whose jobs, who are literally last 2 standing, and the thing that makes you not get the job is because they searched your social media profile. I have this talk, a different talk. I have a talk about Googling yourself on the regular, especially young people, just to make sure that when another person Googles you, the information that comes up is what you want them to see. Because that's what employers are doing now, before employers even talk to you. So we get your CV, it comes out, look at it, nice CV, give it to HR. The first thing that HR and the IT guys, they go on the internet. And based on what comes out of there, we're calling you or you're not. So it can close opportunities, especially the young people, because it's very easy to tweet and continue with your life. It's very, very easy to go, right? And then continue with your life. Meanwhile, I'm looking at that and I'm going, oof, no, risky. You got drunk last night, you got into an accident. And then you lie to your insurance and you say, no, my sister, or I wasn't driving, my sister was driving. And the insurance says, no, but that's not true because we actually saw this, right? Or you say, no, I was at home. My car got scratched because I was at home. I don't know how it happened. they'll go, but that can't be true. Because you checked in when you got to the party last night at 10. You know, so I'm not saying don't engage with social media. I mean, I wear a smartwatch, you know, and I engage with some social media, you know, but be responsible about it, especially the young people. So make it a regular thing to Google yourself. Clean up your profile. This is the creative coming out, right? Clean up your profile online every month. Go in there and just literally be vague. Go, Gafi Somusi. Let it all come up and read and go, okay, I'm happy with this. If not, delete what you don't like. And how you can make things appear that you want is you can just keep on opening it with regularity because it makes it a popular read and a popular read and a popular read. So make sure that your popular reads come up first, right? If it's stuff that you obviously can't delete. But do it as a matter of regularity. That's how you're getting employed, and that's how insurance is going to determine whether they give you that cover or not. You know, so be careful, young people especially. So this is my second last slide, but I wanted to talk a little bit about overcoming disruptive stress. And what that is we are wired to think in a very linear way. It's 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. It's very predictable. We know what it is. It's A to B to Z, you know. So we're wired like that. We are taught that at school. You know, when you're a child, my daughter is not even 2, right? And when I'm teaching her stuff, I'm going A, B, C, D, right? And she'll go C. And I'm like, no, A. You know, she'll go C, right? But because we're taught that, and I actually wish the alphabet was a jumbled up thing, because that's what the world actually has become. Facebook, Google, and all of these companies have actually shown us that linear thinking actually doesn't work. Because what's happening now, it's not taking forever to actually build an empire. You're thinking up a great idea, somebody backs it tomorrow. George Soros is buying you for $15 million, right? That's what's happening. So the world is changing at such an exponential rate that the linear thinking versus the exponentiality of what's actually happening is actually creating disruptive stress because we don't know how to deal with it, right? Our education system does not know how to deal with it because they're still teaching us the way they taught me. They shouldn't be. They definitely should not be. Because let me tell you, the Cape of Good Hope and when it was discovered means nothing to what's happening in the future, right? And also teaching me on an iPad doesn't mean that you're helping me get into the world of actually what's happening. You know, so our education system, and that's not a South African thing, guys, it's a global thing. Education hasn't quite figured out how we make this thing happen. You know, and I think how you make it happen actually is you create entrepreneurs from where they are two. You have them selling tomatoes and oranges and this and that and the other, and you help them understand how finance and relationships and all sorts of things work in one. But the way we've been taught does not work. So disruptive stress is literally the tension. But the reason it's important in the data conversation is that if you're trying to find out about, if you're doing research on social media, your data points can't be social media only. Your data points must be about what do you interact with after you wake up. Because social media is only but one part of how people actually interact with the world. So you've got to cast your net so wide, pull the relevant things, and then whittle it down to what social media is about. Then you get a better picture, and that's what it is. That don't look at the same thing. You've got to do this, and so overcome that disruptive stress. And I think it'll take decades for us to actually get here. Silicon Valley are the masters of overcoming disruptive stress. East Africa, so Rwanda and Kenya are starting to do it. There's a little hub in Cape Town that are starting to do it, and you see with the sort of companies that are actually coming out. Right, there's a couple of boys here in Soweto who are creating apps and some interesting stuff around those apps that actually makes me believe that they've actually overcome the disruptive stress. I go through this every day. It's a big problem for me. I literally every day I've got to kind of go, okay, think this way or not this way, think this way and not this way. So it's a deliberate thing that you've actually got to do all the time. And in a way, I have to remind myself to let my child start counting at 2. You know, if I go 1 and she goes 2, then I just let her. Right, because I also kind of like I want to keep that curiosity of seeing the world in a different way alive in her and not have her think the way I think, because in 30 years' time the way I think is going to be irrelevant. And I mean, so finally, very quickly, a few things. Learning. So explore exponential technologies, guys. Explore robotics, explore AI, explore machine learning, synthetic biology, because these things are shaping our future. So explore them. Read about them every day. That's all I do, right? That's how I got to know these things. Because these will help us uncover societal, ethical, and business impact challenges that we're all facing. So explore it. Don't be afraid of it. You know, people go, oh, robots are going to take our jobs. Yeah, they're going to take our jobs, but you need to be creating other jobs. Because for as long as a robot can do something faster, of course it's going to take that person's job. But that person needs to go, okay, so given that that's what it is, what do I do? Do I become a data capturer? So how do we move beyond being paralyzed by fear of these things that we say we don't know? And then privacy, I just spoke about it, right? Google yourself with absolute regularity. But then also blockchain technology. Now, this is technology that will allow you to start taking back your data privacy. And in fact, in a way that if there's going to be somebody that actually uses it, you can get paid for it. So that's what blockchain technology actually means. It's putting the power in your hands with respect to how your data is used. Explore it. You know, it's coming up, it's bubbling under, but it's going to explode in the next couple of years. And that's how consumers start to take back their data. Because honestly, if they're going to use your data, let them pay for it, right? And then from an industry perspective, the reality is nothing has changed. Honestly, nothing has changed from a marketing perspective. The funnel remains the same. Nothing has changed. It's how you engage and use the new stuff that actually makes a difference, right? We still, you know, kind of to any of you that have started marketing, the 4 Ps, the 5 Ps, the 7 Ps, you know, awareness, consideration, that whole sort of thing, nothing's changed. We're still doing the same thing. It's just applying it differently. And then from a creativity perspective, it really involves preparing and selecting data, as I've said before, that can act as a source of creative inspiration, and then remembering our role in this value chain. And the value chain is what I said, if that's what data is about, data opens up opportunities. Human imagination, though, does the work. So the data does this, but human imagination, it still needs our intervention in order for it to actually move beyond that. So I guess, lastly, I love this. So don't be the tool, you know, don't be the shovel. So don't be the tool, be the person that uses the tool to extract value out of data. And that's it, guys. That's me and my data.